is round 3 of 3 with our coat of arms, banner, and visual art of self-expression. And this is our last one that has very little to do with history and everything to do with modern art and using lettering to express ourselves, using words more so than art itself. So the first thing that I want to show you is this will eventually be what it looks like, sort of. This is one from, what year is it? 2016. I always like to put the date, or at least the year, when I do these, because if you do these over the course of several years, you'll find that the words change. Slowly, but things do change. So this one was done in 2016, and I'll show you where this comes from and what this is in its own way. All right, so before we even get started with the artwork, I always like to write down different things, and many times it'll be on the back of the paper that I'm actually doing the project, so I just turn it over. This time I'm actually going to write out a list. So obviously my name, because you always want to put your name. So there's mine. And then I always do the year, so 2020. And then from there, it's anything and everything that you like, books that you like to read, different movies or TV shows that you're really into, things that you like to do, places that you really connected with, places that you've been that you really enjoyed. For me, I always put down the places that I've lived. So I grew up in Indiana, which is in the middle of the United States. And then most of my adult life, oops, wrong letter, is California. Now, California is really, really big, so I usually just write in the city, which was San Francisco. All right, so I usually just say San Francisco rather than California. I lived in several different countries. So I lived in the United States. I also lived in, I cannot write today, Bahrain and Taiwan. Now, Taiwan is small enough, Bahrain is small enough that I'm not going to write the cities, but just writing in the countries, because that is usually how it goes when I'm trying to explain to someone that I've lived in the country, and then they might ask, what city? So I just put in the countries. All right, so other things that I am interested in, or things that are important to me, as we found from the banner and the coat of arms, foxes, so I'll write in fox. And then in my life, my partner, Nick, and then our dog, Leia. And then from there, I usually put in other things that I'm really interested in, like music, dance, travel, even though I'm not traveling at the moment because of COVID-19. That's okay. I still consider travel to be a very important part of my life. What else do I have? History. teaching. I used to be a history teacher before I was an English teacher, which is where a lot of this lesson actually comes from. Because this is kind of a modern coat of arms. So once you have a fair amount of different things on your list, and this list is not set, this is not a concrete list. You may find that you want to add a whole bunch of different things after you start making your list. That's fine. That's great. That's actually a really big part of what this project is, because then you start to develop like, okay, this is more and more of who I am and what I want the world to know about me. So I usually set this off to the side. So I'm going to set it off. And I usually start with a blank piece of paper. So here's my blank piece of paper. And sometimes I'll start in with a pencil and I'll just start making lines. Just random lines. They may connect, they may not. They may be weird and random, and I might clip that off and go that way, or I might do like that, or like this, or like that, or like this, or like that. However you want to do it. But then I usually also go over it in marker to make these lines a little bit heavier. And then I can also add more if I really want to later on. So it usually ends up looking something like this. Now, I'm actually going to turn it this way. Now, the largest section I usually reserve for my name, and sometimes I'll put the year in with my name, or sometimes I'll put it like off to the side in a slightly smaller section. But this is the general idea. So what I usually do with this is I'll actually use a pencil to start, and then I'll erase later. So I'll do this. So I'll start in with my name, which is Kate. And I try and do block letters because then it looks better later on when I add color. Like that. And the block lettering does take practice, so I always recommend starting with a pencil first and then erase over later. When you start in with marker or ink or colored pencil, that's harder to erase. So there's the start. Now I might add in the year here later on. But with this, you can do two big things. You can color just the lettering, or you can color the lettering and the negative space or the background. So I do, most of the time I'll do both. Or what I might do is I'll take a light color marker and I will color in one of these sections, and it's not going to look perfect this time around. If you really want to take the time and make it look perfect, go for it. But sometimes, you make a mistake or you don't get the coloring quite right. It's okay. It's okay. These are the kinds of projects that do take a while to do. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then I'll go in with one of my heavier markers and do something a little different. So kind of every time I put in something on my page, I tend to mark it off. So I've already got my name. And sometimes I'll do block lettering, sometimes I'll do stylized block lettering. I'll show you that in just a moment. So I will I'm going in with this. I'm doing my partner's name, which is Nick, and this is a very stylized way of writing. So instead of being very simple, it's a lot more complex. So using a pencil, I'll make the little arches and the letters, so that if I do make a mistake, I can easily, this is not even with the top, so I might go in later and extend that out just ever so slightly, like that. So there's some ideas, and with this it looks like it should be okay, so I'm going to write in my dog's name, Leia. I'm going to use probably this burgundy reddish color, and I'm going to just write in, yeah, that looks okay. And this time I'm not going all the way to the top, but I am using calligraphy, which is this very fancy. I'm trying to be very careful about it because I am using the marker and I don't want to make too many mistakes. So there's that. So this is the background and then the lettering itself being two different colors, and that gives you a nice contrast. Sometimes the colors that you use might be national colors, like if I were to write in Bahrain, I would probably do a red and white color combination because those are the colors of the Bahraini national flag. Same thing with state colors. Indiana is blue and yellow typically, so there's that. San Francisco, I usually go as crazy as possible because San Francisco is a little crazy. Other things like with music, here's my finished one with music. I add little music notes. This is the Bahrain with the red and the white, and this is what the coat of arms looks like with the fox. I tend to add a little bit of stylizing, and there's my artistic stylized fox that you might have seen on my coat of arms, as well as my banner. And remember, this was done in 2016, so I've been using this little fox for a long time. I might also use a little bit of glitter. So bear, so we have bear, otter, moose, and fox. And as I am closely associated with foxes, according to my friends, I have another friend that is very closely associated with bears, and another that is otter, and another that is moose. So we have our little forest animal joke amongst us. And there's also my DFTBA that I used with my coat of arms. And again, this was done in 2016, so some of these things have been in my life for a long time. So this is what a finished one would look like. And this is a start, and don't worry about making mistakes or thinking that you've got it all wrong. Don't worry about it. Just do what feels right and best for you. And take your time. And don't forget to be awesome. Thank you.